Hey, welcome everybody. This is Mark Smith. I'm the host of Digital Roughnecks, and I'm here with Vicki Knott, who's the CEO and co-founder of Crux OCM, and they're in the category of robotic industrial process automation. So, Vicki, welcome to Digital Roughnecks.
Great. Thanks for having me, Mark.
So, tell me about how you got started, right? So, you are a technology company. You use the latest in science and engineering and even AI to do what you do. But what was the big idea that got you to start a company?
Yeah. So, having a chemical engineering background and working in multiple heavy industries, I spent some time training as a control room operator for a 2,000-mile major oil pipeline in North America. So most people will probably figure out which one that is. And so after having trained there, as an example, starting up an asset like that, you're issuing commands for pressure set point changes, turning pumps on, swinging valves. So as an example, it would take about 1,000 commands to start up that line, and that line would shut down about twice a week. Um, and then the time it usually takes about 3 hours to start up a line like that. So if you have a smaller line, it'd be less time. But really, it was like having sat and lived through that and having trained on it, definitely broke a sweat each time I had to do it. And folks would say with almost like a badge of pride of there is no on button, but our phones have on buttons. So why isn't there an on button?
So it was the idea that, okay, here I am. I'm an operator on this pipeline. It takes 1,000 steps or commands to get this thing started. There's got to be a better way. So you and your co-founder started a company, and I heard you even went to Oslo to go kind of kickstart that thing.
Yeah. Well, kickstarting it after 2.5 years of grinding and not getting anywhere, it's kind of tough for a couple of technical engineers from oil and gas to know how to start a business. So yeah, so we went to Norway for 3 months. It was through with the Techstars program. It was awesome.
And what happened there?
Ooh, we learned how to build a business. I learned what the word startup really meant. I learned what venture capital meant, and we came out of it understanding how to sell to large enterprise, which was something we certainly didn't know how to do. Learned what a sales pipeline is, what marketing actually means, and met some fantastic angel investors who wanted to invest right away.
So, okay, so now you built your product, enough of it to go land a customer who sounded to me like had a similar problem to what you had, doing the 1,000 commands.
Yeah, so this customer, exact same problem. So that's how we, kind of start feeling good that we might have this magical thing called product market fit. And they had, they've got in the upwards of 50 plus pipeline systems. Control room operators managing multiple of them. These control room operators are overworked. There's a lot going on. So fatigue in control rooms is something that's a leading cause of accidents, as reported by PHMSA. So they're really looking for a way to start automating more and increasing the efficiency of their assets. So we've been working with them for about a year now, getting close to live deployments, and there's a 100 million plus anticipated revenue increase from working with technology like ours.
How many steps does it take with your system?
We can do it in one, but if your control room operators are not comfortable, we can do it in maybe 10. So it depends on what folks want. And, the goal here is adoption of the technology. It's not going to provide anyone any value if they don't want to use it. So if there's a little more that's required to make control room operators happy to use it, we can definitely configure that. We sit on-prem. So we do sit inside of the customer's firewalls. We can look at other ways of doing things post the Colonial incident if that was required. And what we do is we connect via OPC connections. So we're actually reading real-time data from the existing SCADA system, computing what the commands are, and executing them back to the SCADA system on behalf of the control room operator. So that's how we drastically lower how many commands a control room operator needs to take.
And the reason why they can generate $100 million extra revenue is because why?
Because we can maintain them at max throughput at a higher frequency. So starting them up faster, maintaining max rate during their batch transitions, making sure that every control room operator is maintaining max rate. So it's squeezing that extra utilization out of an existing system. So a lot of folks don't know, but like pipelines are only at 85 to maybe 95% utilization. Yet people will still say, oh, but we're at 100%. We need 100% of our contracts. It's like, well, great, good for you, but you could increase your contracts if you used more of your capacity on your pipeline.
So to go from 1,000 steps to 10 or to 1, what does that translate to in terms of time?
Yeah, so we've been showing about a 40% decrease in time. That's for really large assets. Obviously, the smaller your asset is, the less time it takes to get it up and running. Therefore, the less benefit there is to get. But yeah, like on these big systems, we're showing about 40%. So if you do the math on that, so say you have I think it's 4,500 meter cubed per hour pipeline. Apologize, my Canadian. And you can get at twice a week. You can start at 40% faster every time on this really major pipeline. That equates to about 4% additional volume. 4% on a pipeline that big, if we can go through the math another time specifically, but at $3 a barrel, you're looking at about 26 million a year in additional revenue on tolls.
So because of the Colonial Pipeline thing that's, pretty currently in the news and cybersecurity and stuff, are people like, what are they asking about your system that are they asking about cybersecurity and how that all works? And could you have helped a situation like that they're in?
So the thing that customers have loved about us is that we sit on-prem inside of their firewalls. Now, after Colonial, maybe that's not what they're going to love as much. I think the single sign-on thing, if an application like us is forced into the single sign-on as well, and then that was the vulnerability, if that was what it was, then we'd be forced inside of the exact same situation as the existing SCADA system. So a way that we could help is by letting us have a separate login and a separate set of credentials, and then that way there's always another way to operate your pipeline.
Right, in case they get a crypto lock and can't operate it, because we heard that they were able to operate it manually, but as I don't know how many people are left that can actually operate the PLC directly, without an interface of SCADA or whatever. What other scenarios can you do, that you've been able to help customers with?
Yeah, so we've got a customer up north of the border, and we've been working with them on gathering systems. So they have a system of over 10 gathering systems that we've been working through fully automating. The goals of automating that is, instead of a control room operator turning on and off each of your lacks, or where your volumes are coming in from your wells into the gathering system. So we're operating them all autonomously to maximize and maintain a max rate at the bottom of the gathering system. What that does is it increases your overall throughput, assuming that the nominations are available. It also decreases your pressure and flow variabilities, increasing the rateability of your system, and increasing your asset integrity. So less pressure swings.
So if somebody was interested in this and taking the next step toward autonomous operations, how should they get a hold of you, or what should they do?
Well, my email is Vicki, Vicki, at cruxocm.com. There's also our website where you can fill out a form. Good old LinkedIn, I'm all over that. So feel free to send me a direct message on there as well.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to post this episode on LinkedIn, and you can share it, and there'll be all kinds of links to follow up, and also links in our show notes. So anything else? What do you see as kind of the next big thing that you're focused on, and where you see having a big impact on the market?
Yeah, so right now we are in the pipeline space, super keen to get into the gas pipeline space. Then we've had multiple conversations in gas plants as well as LNG plants. So any of these big assets, hydropower that have a central control room where you still have folks using paper procedures, checklists, and rules of thumb, that's certainly somewhere that we want to help provide value.
Okay, great. Well, Vicki, I want to thank you for being here. And, Digital Roughnecks is all about that next digital transformation that's happening right now. And you're obviously proof of that, making a big impact there. So I appreciate you being on Digital Roughnecks.
Great. Thanks for having me.